So almost 40 years ago, my church had this cool idea that the volunteers were going to take a personality assessment. And we took two kinds. We took a spiritual gifts assessment. If I recall, it was called HOUTS, H-O-U-T-S, I believe. It's a long time ago. But it was, what is your spiritual gift, the giftings in Galatians and so forth in the Bible. And then we took a thing called DISC. It was the first time I ever saw DISC, the D-I-S-C. It takes about 20 minutes to take the little survey, and then it gives you insights into the type of personality you are and how you make decisions. I came home, I was all gleeful when I had the results, and I read it, and I went, this thing read my mail. It knows who I am, and that's pretty cool. And I handed it to my wife, and she said, yes. And I went, yes, what? And she said, this is what's wrong with you. I said, no, this is me. This is me. This is not what's wrong with me. And to this day, she's convinced her personality type is the right kind and everyone else is the wrong kind. She's not figured out how the DISC works. So we laugh about it. We mess with her all the time at family gatherings. Then, of course, we have the Enneagram come out, right? And we have the all the other assessments. Strength Finders is wonderful. Our friend Pat Lencioni has Working Genius, which is an incredible thing for how you get work done, how you view work. All of these assessments are great. I recommend. I'm a kind of an assessment junkie. I like because they give you insights into other folks, how they tick, and makes you have patience with them because they're different than you. Duh. And it also helps you know how to communicate with people if you know what Enneagram they are and you know how they're going to process decision making, how they're going to process emotions and so on. And so we started using the DISC profile many years ago, not to the exclusion of the others, but when you join Ramsey, you take this little test and boom, it prints out where you are on the DISC. And we actually put it up on your work area. So when we walk into your work area, we can look at it, see your personality style, and at least have a clue how you're going to process the conversation I'm getting ready to have when I walk in your office. Or vice versa. When you walk in my office, you go, oh, I probably need to talk to Dave that way if I want to get through to Dave because he's going to process this way. So leading up, leading down, leading sideways, whatever it is, loving people well, knowing how they think and how they tick is a good thing. If you've never taken this, you can get it on our website. It's very inexpensive. Lots of people use it. And again, I think you ought to do a bunch of these things. I like this one because it's very simple. Is it perfect? Oh, good Lord, no, none of these things are. Is it from the Bible? No, that's not what it is. It just tells you an idea. So the DISC stands for four different personality styles. They're in 4 quadrants. D is the decisive, I is the interactive, S is the stabilizing or steady, C is the cautious or conscientious personality. Let's talk about them for a second. I'm a high DI, off the chain, like a 98, 99. Okay, I'm an I when I'm on stage, and I'm a D when I'm running the business. Okay, so D's are the decisive. There's actually a book out that we read to our children growing up, The Treasure Tree by Gary Smalley. And I believe it was Gary Smalley. I think it is, yeah. And it had different animals. The D is the lion. Rawr, okay? Very driven, assertive, fiercely competitive, doesn't do details. We drive projects beautifully because we just drive. We're fast-paced. We're skeptical. We make decisions very quickly and easily, and if they're wrong, we'll make another decision. And we are there's an axis, by the way, running through these 4 quadrants. One is people-oriented to task-oriented. The other is fast decision to slow decision. Okay, the D is task and fast. Fast decision maker, task-oriented versus people-oriented. And that's where we fall. That's what I'm doing when I'm running the business. Some of the stories I tell about Ramsey when I'm coaching you folks is from the D perspective coming out in me. The I, the I is the otter. They're a party looking for a place to happen. If you don't have eyes around, there is no fun in the room. Fun comes from eyes. They invented fun. They are the fun meisters. They are fun-loving, sociable, persuasive, may not naturally stay focused on details. People think they're ADD because they all are. No, I'm kidding. Care deeply about what's going on with their teammates. They feel before they think. They're people-oriented. They think really fast. They make decisions fast, but they make it through a people paradigm rather than a task paradigm. About 10% of the people are Ds. About 25% are Is. Ds focus on when. Is focus on who. If you have someone in charge of parties at your company and they're not an I, epic fail. If you have people in charge of projects and they're an I, epic fail. The Ds need to be running the projects or somebody else because there may be confetti involved, but the project will never be done. We will have 2 ice cream socials, but the project will never be done, okay? This is the I. Is are wonderful, and they're funny, and that's the part of me that comes out on stage or on a microphone, where all the sarcastic humor comes from, all that, the entertainment. They're very entertaining. The S is the golden retriever. Very steady, very loyal, big, beautiful eyes looking at you, looking into your soul. They're loyal team players. They like to get along. They hate conflict. They're supportive. They have strong listening skills. They're slow at decision-making because they want to make sure no one's feelings are going to be hurt. They're people-oriented and slow on the axis of decision-making. They ask why. About 40% of people are S's. A lot of you are S's. They have great ideas. You have to pull it out of them because they don't want to offend you. They never talk politics or religion at the wrong table, ever. They will never say something about Trump in front of a Trumper or vice versa. They just don't do it. The S's are the nicest, kindest, most wonderful people. I just love S's. They're so great. I have none of it. I do not understand it at all. But you need them around. You can count on them forever, and they're the ones that intuitively know if something's going wrong and you need to be patted on your little head. They just know it. They can tell, do you need someone to pray for you? I think Jesus told me to pray for you. No, he didn't. It was just an S. They just felt like you needed that. That's all it was. Jesus was not involved at all, although the prayer would be a good thing. I love these people. They're wonderful people. And if you don't have S's on the team, you got no steadiness. This is where all steadiness comes from. C, the cautious, conscientious personality. They are process, their rules, their structure. That's their love language. And if you violate their love language, they have a little bit of Pharisee in them. They will get on you. They will tell you about the rules. You broke the rules. You're not allowed to break the rules. They are the head of the HOA. They will drive you nuts. I love them because they have all good data. They slow you down. They make you make decisions based on hard data, not feelings. Feelings are for children. You do not have feelings when you're a C. We go by the data. We go by the rules. Facts is facts, ma'am. That's the way it is. Thank you, Friday. That's the way it works. Project-focused, moderately paced, if not slow. They refuse to move sometimes because they get paralysis of the analysis. They are fabulous to have on the team. This is who you want doing accounting and writing code, baby, because it'll be right, and there's only one way to do accounting, right and wrong. 2 ways, actually, but there's the right way and the wrong way. There's no creativity involved for you Is. If your Is are doing accounting, you're screwed, okay? And if a D does accounting, they don't do accounting. They don't do details. They don't want to hear about it. Just tell me after it's over, right? And so you need C's in the business. You need C's in your life to slow you down and help you make decisions based on the actual facts, particularly when there's a lot of drama going on. They're the ones that bring wisdom to the table. They are actually wonderful people. They do care very deeply. They just don't show their feelings because they only have a feeling once a year. And so that's what they're doing. They're wonderful. A dysfunctional C is a big-time pain in the butt Pharisee if you're dysfunctional. A big dysfunctional D is an overbearing tyrant. A dysfunctional I can't stay on task long enough to add any value. A dysfunctional S avoids conflict to the point they become an enabler. And so DISC. So if you're walking into someone's office and you see that they are a D or a C, you know they're going to be task-oriented, not people-oriented. They're not going to worry about your feelings. If you walk into their office and see they're an I or an S, you probably ought to be thinking about feelings. because those people got some. And be thinking about that way. If you're going in with a D or an I and you want to make a decision slowly, you're going to have a problem. Both of them are going to make a decision quickly. And some of you that you're in sales, what you do with a D and an I, you don't close them. You just go, "Olay," and get out of the way. And they will run through the door, and you will close the door behind them. And we have a sale. You don't have to, you just get, "Olay," just wave the cape and go, "Olay," and get out of the way. The other people, they get to the edge of the sale and they pause. The S wants to consider all the people's feelings before we buy. And the C says, "Do we have all the details? I'm not sure we have all the details. I'm not sure life is long enough to get all the details I want, but I need all the details before I can make a decision." And they get paralysis of the analysis. So if you're selling to people, you need to understand their style. Your style doesn't matter. You're serving them. So how are you going to serve them? You meet them where they are, and you understand, is this stuff perfect? No, but it's insightful, just like the Enneagram, just like Working Genius, just like Strength Finders. All of these things are insightful. This is kind of the beginning of that whole assessment craze that has now gone on. Everybody's got an assessment for something. And I was speaking at a leadership thing the other day, and every speaker was selling an assessment but me. And I kind of thought, well, I maybe need to get an assessment, but I don't have one. This is it. And it's just, the point is, these things are not fix-alls and they're not perfectly accurate, but they do give us general insights and a good overlay for leading teams, for hiring people into teams. Like, I'm a high D at work. If you're perpendicular on the thing, you're going to have conflict. And then perpendicular from me is the S. Okay, they're very people-oriented and slow to make decisions. I'm very task-oriented and fast to make decisions. So you got to think about these things when you're putting someone in key positions right next to you. It helps guide you in your hiring decisions and what seat on the bus, which, get the right people on the right seats on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus, all that kind of stuff. This helps with that. It's not a fix-all. We do consider this as one of the elements when we're hiring, but it is certainly not a deal breaker or a deal maker. Oh, we've got to have them. They're a high D. No. Because a dysfunctional one of these will screw up everything. So and all of us have been immature or dysfunctional in these things at one time or another in our lives. So you can check all this out at RamseySolutions.com. You can buy the assessment. It's pretty cool. You can understand each other's communication styles, avoid unnecessary conflict, lead and motivate more effectively. The DISC. Fun stuff to kick around.